The warships are Russian. The place is Crimea, Ukrainian territory, annexed by Moscow. It's a military show of strength. The Russian annexation here was a watershed moment. The end of the Cold War had brought hope of partnership between Moscow and the West. That's gone.
What we see is a pattern of behavior where Russia is responsible for aggressive actions against neighbors. That reflects that the main problem of Russia is that they still believe in the idea of spheres of influence.
In response to Moscow's annexation of Crimea, NATO has stepped up military exercises and bolstered its forces close to Russia's western borders to boost security for the Baltic states. NATO jets are regularly scrambled here to intercept Russian military aircraft.
As long as Russia, as such, does not change their stance towards the West, they can be a threat to smaller neighbors.
Moscow denies it's a danger to NATO or the Baltic states.
The Baltic has become one of the front lines of what feels like a new Cold War between Russia and the West. To Moscow, the presence of NATO troops near its border is a direct threat to Russia's national security.
One complaint I often hear from Russian officials is that 30 years ago, a promise was made by the West to Moscow that NATO would not enlarge and move closer to Russia's borders. And Russia says the West deceived Moscow.
So first of all, no such promise was made. But second, just the idea that Washington or a big Western ally should promise that to Moscow is an idea based on a totally wrong assumption that big countries can promise something on behalf of small countries.
Back in Crimea, the Kremlin has a different message for the public, that it's the West that's the threat and Russia must defend itself.
В России есть только два друга, так сказать, это армия и флот. И больше друзей-то у нас нет.
С нами Бог, с нами армия и флот, с нами горячие наши сердца, готовые подвиг совершить в любой день и в любой час.
After the Iron Curtain fell, many people believed that Russia and the West would chart a common course. But cooperation depends on trust, and that has ebbed away. Steve Rosenberg, BBC News, Crimea.